Good to have you here.
Thank you very much. I already confessed to you I'm not Bavarian. You said not yet. Good afternoon, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. It's such an honor. I've given the task to speak about something very simple, the challenges of digital transformation and changing world order in 15 minutes. Okay. So the first question I want to ask yourself, especially in this environment so full of ingenuity when it comes to digital, is digital transformation still relevant in the changing world order? And before you rush to say, of course, well, look at the headlines these days. Inflation, war, scarcity of prime material, energy. Back to the 70s, welcome. Where is digital? Where is digital these days in the political agenda when leaders meet? You remember in COVID, everyone was saying, digital is keeping us together. Digital, through AI, we'll get a new generation of vaccines. With the outbreak of the war in Ukraine and what it brought to us, not really nice gifts, such as inflation, such as, disruption of the supply chains, the world seems to stall in terms of progress. But then let's take a little bit of deep breath and look at the maybe 10 years from now. Of course, hopefully, I think you all agree, much more peaceful world in 10 years from now. The most sophisticated robots on Earth will be the buildings, the cars. We will have a society that will basically be in what I call the Web 4.0, which is everything as a digital twin, and algorithms speak to other algorithms. And hopefully, this is really what leads us to a better outcome in terms of society. There's no green transformation of the society of the economy without a proper digital transformation. It's simply impossible to manage the energy balance of a complex building, even of a city, or manage a car without really a very, very advanced level of intelligence, software, and algorithms. So whether, people like it or not, green and digital are friends, are twins, and very much necessary. But if you don't want to be futuristic, maybe you have a bit of a gloomy view about what's going on. Let's look at the present then. Unfortunately, we had yet again an assault to an elected democratic parliament in Brazil. That's not normal. In 4 years, two of the largest democracies of the world have seen riots, basically self-generated through social media, arriving to the point to assaulting, the center of the democracy. And this is really alarming and brings me to the point, what kind of digital governance model do we want for the world? Now, given that I don't have hours and you don't want me to speak hours because there are more interesting speakers, let me simplify a little bit. You have 3 models around the world of digital transformation. You have the US model, which is very much Silicon Valley centered, private initiative, big tech. You have the Chinese model, which is very much innovation linked with state control. And you have then the European model, which is the so-called human-centric, no one left behind, and really try to do things that mean for everybody. Now, no wonder that in the world, the most loved model is the European model. You have seen, all around papers, articles, politicians speaking about how Europe is managing technology. Yesterday, there was an op-ed on a Wall Street Journal about the need to regulate big tech, signed by Joe Biden. So clearly, the European model, it's a model that's really looked and regarded as probably the most sustainable model when it comes to digital transformation. But then there's another stereotype that comes with it. But the Europeans are not good at tech. sorry. I mean, I don't think the numbers tell the same story. This year, 2 out of 3 Nobel Prizes in quantum physics are European. And Europeans that worked in are working in quantum computer and in quantum communication. We have the highest number of quantum centers in Europe, the largest public program in quantum and supercomputing in the world. We have the largest startup ecosystems of the world. We had the highest number of unicorns. And I can go on and on. What about our digital services for the society? I mean, the digital administration is by far the most structured advance of the world. So it's a strange model, the European one. It's a bit of a pendulum. You have clearly a sense of public governance, which is really, I mean, regarded as the model on AI, on big tech ruling, on net neutrality. You have, frankly, you are the proof of it, a very vibrant startup community. You have public research programs and public investment in digital, which are really top-notch. Then you have something in the middle that doesn't really work as good as this, which is Europe corporate, where over and over, the transformation of our corporate world has not been able to capture the value of digital transformation. I hope that we are a little bit of a turning point in this respect. I was speaking before of the Web 4.0, but let me go one step back. I mean, we are now living in this bidimensional web, the Web 2.0, which is the web on laptop, tablets, smartphones. So you see it on a plain screen. Very soon we will move to the 3-dimensional web, 3.0, which is also distributed web, which some call metaverse, call it virtual world, call it 3D experience, whatever. And then together with it, what I call the Web 4.0, which every object has its digital copy. So in this transformation, the world will become much more decentralized, much more open to diffused innovation. And this is clearly an opportunity. And you see already the signals that in a changing world, the European model has more of a chance, not only from the public policy perspective, but also from the industrial perspective. We have the largest number of unicorns when it comes to payment systems and payment companies, because we had the intuition 20 years ago to create an open payment area in Europe, which is the largest of the world. We are the largest digital market of the world. So when the web will change, it will evolve to a much more diffused ecosystem. Clearly, the model that we see now of the big vertical techs with their walled gardens ecosystem will start to crack. And you already see the signal of this, not only because, regulators are becoming much more attentive to this, but also because markets are becoming much more attentive to the value generations of big tech companies and questioning a model, because if the model is only trash in, trash out, this model is not sustainable. So the evolution of the web is clearly in the direction of a much more diffused innovation ecosystem, much more intriguing when it comes to there's a session in this DLD conference about the future of search. So cognitive search, diffused transaction systems based on the blockchain, AI algorithms, which are generalized AI and specialized AI living together. This kind of new way of looking at things will particularly be favored by human-centric and governance that looks exactly at how to make sure that no one is left behind. So I'm sure that this model is successful today because clearly it's superior to any model just run by the public sector or by a state control system, but also in the long term, it's a winning model in terms of value creation. Now, of course, you cannot simply say, haha, here is Europe, now it comes this guy that says everything is fine. No, it's not fine, as I said. And one thing that needs to happen, and in part is happening, but probably needs to happen more, is that the US agenda and the European agenda has to start to converge more. This, in a way, started because the Biden administration is a friendly administration towards Europe, and we have really a friendly attitude towards the United States. And we created a Trade and Technology Council, which is the US and Europe coming together to tackle the issues about emerging tech. So we started to work very seriously about human-centric AI, about tech for good, so using AI to solve challenges of the world like famine or extreme weather events. We are working together on the next generation of quantum system and quantum encryption. And the list is long. So we hope that this convergence between, an extreme model, which is the US one, which have very little public governance, and a model that some would say too much public governance, which is the European one, will create this new world order when it comes to digital. The last thing I want to say is that all of this also should really look at what is happening on the ground. And in this, I would say that the most important point being that we are able to create a thriving innovation ecosystem. Now, in a word that I described, cooperation is very important. We heard a lot about how the car should transform in a green entity, something which is sustainable. But equally, it should be an open ecosystem when it comes to development of AI and applications around the car. I don't think it is in the interest of Europe that big tech will take, a kind of a walled garden approach to the car of the future. That's why one of the things we promote very much, together with all the car manufacturers, is the idea to create an open operating system around the car. And the same applies to the building of the future. The same applies to what we call the digital twin of the human of the future. So all these cooperative projects, which we call also next generation internet, are very important to create a cooperative, open environment, which I think is really the DNA of Europe. Thank you very much for your attention.